Okay, hi everyone. We will just give you a couple more minutes so more attendees can join, and then we will officially start with the webinar. We will start in 1 minute. Okay, so thank you all for being here today. So this is Women Shaping the Future of XR webinar, and this is a second edition of the Women in XR webinar series. And this edition is bringing together women innovators driving real-world impact with extended reality across different sectors: healthcare, industry, automotive, and ports. This panel features open call winners from two projects, XR2Learn and Women TechEU, showcasing tangible use cases and lessons learned from scaling XR solutions across sectors. This webinar is designed as a dynamic discussion rather than a traditional presentation format, and the session highlights leadership journeys, innovation pathways, and the future of inclusive XR ecosystems. And the webinar will be moderated by our Regina van Tongeren, a marketing strategist and educator that is working at the intersection of AI, immersive media, and responsible innovation. With her expertise in ethical technology, inclusive leadership, and cross-sectoral collaboration, Regina will guide an engaging conversation of how women are shaping the future of XR. So, Regina, the floor is yours.
Wow, thank you. That was an amazing introduction. Thank you so much, Fulk. And hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome to our wonderful session. My name is Regina, and I'm happy and actually also a little bit proud to be back again as moderator for this wonderful series of webinars. We hosted one last year. This is the second one, and I hope we can do many, many more. Because what better way to kick off International Women's Day weekend than with a conversation like this? As an ambassador for women in industries of tomorrow, the topics that we're discussing today are really close to my heart, and I love that we have these discussions. I always walk away with so much inspiration, but also a little bit humbled to see all the things that are being built by these amazing women. I know also that we're celebrating at a time when the world feels a bit heavy, but I really feel that getting together like this, talking about building the future of XR is the way to go forward. I wanted to give you, everybody who is joining us, a little bit of context before we jump in and introduce our panel of what we have in store for you the coming 90 minutes. It seems like a lot, but it will fly by so fast. We start with a quick introduction, and then we will head over to some personal stories of our panelists. After that, they will share the amazing projects they're working on. We will zoom out a little bit onto the industry, talk about barriers that are still in place, but also think about solutions and what we really want to see happening in the future. And then, of course, at the end of all this, we have a Q&A lined up for you. Vuk is staying with us behind the scenes, also moderating the chat. So please, if you have questions, don't forget to put the name of the person you want to ask the question into the chat. And then at the end of the Q&A, we will get to all of your questions, hopefully, if time allows. So that's my introduction. Let's start with our panel. Raquel, can you maybe share and introduce yourself?
So, good afternoon, everyone. I am Rachele. Thank you, Regina, for the introduction. I am a PhD student currently at the University of Parma, and I'm here because I'm part of the XDeMon team who won the OC2 call of the XR2Learn sub-project, which is part of Horizon call. And I'm working in the team as a research engineer.
Thank you very much. Irene.
Hello from me too. Glad to be here. I'm Irene. I'm the lead extended reality developer of Portal XR. It was also one of the OC2 winners of the XR2Learn call. And I'm very happy to be here. I'm also a PhD student, so we'll share insights from both the business and also the academic part. Glad to meet you.
Thank you so much. That's great. Jana.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jana. I am Innovation Manager for Matsuko. We are a deep tech company from Slovakia, and we are developing holographic communication. And we are also Open Code 2 winner. So I will also tell you more about EcoDrive XR, our project that we were happy to implement under XR2Learn project. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining. Laura.
Yes, thank you. My name is Laura, and I am coming from Cora, a XR production studio based in Copenhagen, and I'm representing the project Neonatal, which is also one of the winners in XR2Learn, funded by Horizon Europe, focusing on developing simulated training for healthcare workers in neonatal resuscitation. And I'm very happy to be here today.
Thank you so much. Hannah?
Yes. Hi, and thank you. So my name is Hannah, and I'm a medical doctor and PhD student at University of Copenhagen. And I am part of the neonatal team together with Laura, and also one of the winner from XR2Learn this year. And yes, I'm really looking forward to also tell you a little bit about our project and also to hear about all the amazing women here that are into XR.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, my fellow ambassador of women in industries of tomorrow, Katarzyna.
Hi, hello. Thank you for inviting me. I'm Katarzyna Koba, the founder and CEO of SensiVR and owner of RoboKoba. At SensiVR, we design XR-based solution for digital therapeutic dedicated for neurorehabilitation and mental health support. Personally, I lead R&D strategy, usability testing, and interdisciplinary team coordination, bringing together developers, clinicians, researchers, and designers. And originally, I came from artistic background, so very nice to be here today.
Thank you so much, everybody, for these wonderful introductions. I'm really looking forward now for our second part to get to know you a little bit better, to dive into all the topics of your personal stories a little bit more. So let's start with Irene. Can you maybe share a little bit on what inspired you to join the XR field? Because it's still not an industry that is very well known. What was it that inspired you so much to join this?
Yeah, so it was like a natural path for me because I came from a technical background, and then I saw the technology getting more innovative, and it was the time that actually virtual reality became a trend. So I was very fascinated on how to combine education with extended reality. And I kept asking, what happens if we combine those two? What happens if I combine education and training with extended reality? And so let's say it was the intersection that pulled me in. And it was when I turned from developing web applications to turning to extended reality applications. So it was, let's say, the natural expansion of what I was already doing.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. As a teacher, I like your intersection of education and XR. That's amazing. Jana, can you maybe also share a little bit about your inspiration, but also maybe a bit of the highlights that you've encountered along the way?
Yes, of course. So I come from completely different field. I'm actually PhD candidate in AI law and technology law. So I'm also in legal practice. So this was pretty a challenge for me to enter this new world, but it's extremely interesting. And the highlight was when actually our CEO, Maria Verchikova, because we are women-led, deep tech company gave me the chance to join Matsuko and to help her create projects and get funding for her ideas. And we started brainstorming together. So basically, it allowed me to work in XR in holographic communication and see how the technology works and explore how we can use the technology in different use cases, such as industry or healthcare. So basically, yeah, that's it.
Oh, that's interesting to hear that you can come in from all sides. That's really nice to hear. Anna, is there anything in your journey that you can remember that you were specifically proud of if you think back?
Yes, my way into XR was also a bit different. Like I was actually it was a colleague who they made a project in the hospital where I worked a couple of years ago. And so I was part of this project. So I got to train, like we had some simulation training in the virtual reality. It was the first time I tried it. And I just remember that I thought, wow, this is really cool. And it's an amazing way to learn, actually. It was the first time I had tried it. And I remember that I said, okay, I want to learn more about this and maybe even develop something myself. So that was my way into virtual reality as a medical doctor, because we don't use it. I work in pediatric department, so with children, and I know we use virtual reality for children to distract them, for example, when we do some procedures, but we have not used it in trainings. So this is my way how I became interested in the field. And I think what I've been proud of so far, I'm still very new in this field, but we have conducted a study during the fall, and one of my proud moments was to see other colleagues, to test it on them, and to see them do it and to see how happy they became. And also when I saw them a few months later, that they actually expressed that it has helped them a lot and that they feel more confident now in some very difficult situations that we are working in sometimes, so that they could really see the change that it can do. So that was a proud moment, that we can actually help a lot and educate a lot with virtual reality.
Yeah, and also see the effects in real life, actually. That's
Yes.
really nice. That's great. Thank you so much for sharing. Well, yeah, we all know that highlights are certainly part of all of our journeys, but we also probably also encounter some bumps along the way. And it was interesting to hear from you, Irene, if maybe you can share some of the challenges that you've encountered and maybe what helps you through them, or who, maybe it's a person that helped you.
Yes, so the first challenges were mostly the technical ones, because of course it's always for me development, but it's a new technology, it's a new innovative way of programming. So the first thing was this: you have to read a bit more, you have to understand the technology and to solve the technical. And of course, the often very male-dominated space, let's say. So this was the first one to encounter. And the challenge was to try to apply my human-centered perspective to a more technical, let's say, field, which was the virtual reality and extended reality field. Mentorship and many networking events actually have helped me very much in this. Many European initiatives that were on how to empower women programmers were actually the place I found more, let's say, knowledge as well as motivation to continue. And to feel more confident when it comes to engineering and being inclusive and still accessible in the field.
Yeah, that feeling of confidence, I think that's an important one, and that you really need to be able to stand your ground. Thank you so much. Katarzyna, do you have similar experiences, and maybe can you share some, the way in which they shaped your work?
So to be honest, I had totally different experience with my challenges, because I didn't become from technical background. For me, one of the most difficult challenge I faced as a founder was learning how to make hard decisions. So was more leadership challenges instead of technologies challenges, especially this hard decision depends of involved people I genuinely liked and valued. So the most and hardest challenge for me was making decision and some collaboration inside team as a founder, and because I didn't realize this kind of building a startup from the beginning, as I said, technology and business wasn't my natural environment, so I didn't know about the problem with the challenges in terms of being manager from the beginning, because I found SensiVR because I wanted to create something nice idea as SensiVR is. So this became very big and a difficult challenge for me to set some boundaries with people if I worked with. So this challenge was very personal. Like I said, I start to found the startup because I believe deeply in idea. Coming from artistic background, the world of technology and business were initially far from my natural environment. So I wanted to create like deep passion and emotional commitment team. So really quickly, I realized that this ecosystem, people often join project with enthusiasm, but also just leave quick as the priorities change for them or better opportunity arise. So building that kind of founding team for me for long-term strategy and long-term relation becomes a big challenge for me. And rejection, gave up some collaboration with someone, deeply put myself in a big doubt and anxiety. So during this time, the mentorship become essential, and fortunate I met people who helped me not only from technical regulation and founding point of view, but they helped me to remind that doubt and anxiety is part of that kind of journey to being founder, and I am not alone building something meaningful. So yeah, this is which fundamentally shaped my understanding of being a leader and changed my leadership style. And this is kind of challenge I faced during that
Thank you so much. I think a lot of what you're saying resonates with a lot of people, and it's nice to hear how, yeah, actually you've learned so much yourself as well. It shaped who you are, and it really all the decisions you had to make made you into the person that you are today. So thank you so much for sharing that. That's an amazing story. So Raquel, can you maybe also share something about your journey, and especially looking back, like the story that Katarzyna was saying on how you see for yourself your path or your highlights and your lows have changed you versus when you first started out in XR?
Well, I have to be honest, when I started this journey, I didn't know anything about XR. I mean, I did my traineeship inside the laboratory, but I was mainly a system engineer. And my PhD too focuses mostly on conceptual design. So before anything that is concrete, that is tangible, and in some ways it is close to XR, but when I started my PhD, I didn't know it. And my knowledge was limited to the fact that extended reality and virtual reality were tools for games. Because as an engineering student, I had friends that had these kind of tools, costly tools, because when I started, it was already 10 years ago. So at that time, they were very costly, and they were mainly used for entertainment. Then, with my professor, with my tutor at the university, he decided to invest some of his funds into creating a virtual lab, and we decided to start our journey in this field. And we started with our project, the XDeMon project. And I understood that virtual reality was much more than entertainment, and it could be very useful in mechanical field, especially to train people, because nowadays we are facing shortages in terms of blue collars, skilled collars, and so on. We are facing constraints set by the European Union in terms of regulations. And even though it is not immediate to think about virtual reality as a tool to overcome these difficulties, believe me that it can be very useful, because you can recreate environments for adult learners, which are one of the most difficult learners to engage because they are adults, so you cannot force them to learn things that maybe they are not interested into. And in this way, you can recreate the virtual environment where they can play, because learning becomes a sort of play, and also a joke, because actually they start making jokes and making fun of each other and things like this. And it is cheaper in our environment than setting up a full real training environment, because you have to take a part of the factory, secure this part, making courses in terms of personal protectional equipment. It is very long. These workers must be taken off from their ordinary skills, but they are paid to work. So this is also an issue for the company. So actually it helped a lot, and in my case it gave me also this experience, very interesting ideas for my PhD, because I work in the aeronautical field. And virtual reality can be very good to test outstanding, very outbreaking new systems that can be perceived by pilots, by in general aeronautical actors as too out of their comfort zone. And in this way, we can test, we can see if they work from a situational situational awareness point of view, workload and things like this. And at the same time, we can engage them into the development and get them more familiar, and this helps a lot.
Yeah, that's a great story. So it actually helped you, being in XR helped you to get a broader view on what else it could be used for. That's really good to hear. Laura.
Yes.
Can you also share a little bit about your journey and how you see for yourself, what personally you've experienced, and how you see yourself change, but also maybe your view on XR has changed?
I came from a background as a political economist, so very far from, creative industry and tech, but it has always been part of my work as a global development consultant. So I was often staffed on digital projects, working with all kinds of technologies. But when I entered the field of XR, I had a very different conception. It was also a very different time. It was a time when the metaverse and Mark Zuckerberg's vision of the metaverse was the dominating discourse. And it was this idea that XR was a technology that would be a place where we would live. It would be all around us, but it was also very much dominated by big tech's discourse on what it would be. Then AI came and everyone ran after AI and let XR be alone. And I think that was actually the best thing that could happen, maybe, for XR to be what it's supposed to do, which is much more needs-based, going much deeper, focusing on application areas that are where XR really can make an impact, such as education, embodied learning, healthcare, training, also deeper application areas where we don't see necessarily XR as a gimmick or as a entertainment piece or as a hype wave, but it's actually solving a problem. So I think this shift has led us to work much more focused and meticulously with what XR really can do when it transports us to places we can't access, when it helps solving a problem of training something very complicated or very remote. So I think that shift has also changed the way I've perceived the technology itself and what it can do. I must admit that I was a little bit skeptical in the beginning when I first started, and I thought, what can it do? But then when you start going deeper, it's really amazing when you think of the world as a 3-dimensional spatial place, and the different use cases you can develop in partnership with people that actually have nothing to do with technology at all.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's an amazing vision, actually. When I first encountered and when I first put on my first headset, I always thought, well, we'll be walking through our socials in about 5 years, taking a bit longer. But I like your idea of AI. We really should be grateful for AI taking over the hype, because because now we can get some really good XR in place. That's a really nice view. Thank you so much. Thank you all for sharing all these great stories. I really like how each and every one is coming from different angles. You know, we're not all coming from technology, but still we're all fitting into this wonderful industry of XR. And it's also very good to hear that, you know, nobody's path is ever only highlights. There are also bumps in the way, and that's very, I hope, inspirational to hear also for everybody joining today. Well, actually, the next part is one of my favorite parts of this discussion, because it's nice to talk about stuff, but I think especially for this webinar, it's so great we can also share some of the things that these wonderful women are building. So what we've prepared for each of the projects that they are working on. We've prepared a little pitch with slides, without slides. It's going to be a mix of that, and they will show you exactly what they're building, what it's helping, but also a little bit of the background where it came from and the support that they have received through the partners that they've worked with. So let's take it away, because it's my favorite part, and let's not dwell on it any more longer. Irene, can you start with Portal XR?
Yes, of course. My pleasure. So I will proceed and share my screen. And I will start with...
It's almost visible.
Yes, yes, give me a moment.
I see it.
Okay, and I think I need to change the presenter screen. Okay, so do you see just the presentation or the notes as well?
Notes as well.
Okay, so now it should be good. Right?
Yes.
No?
Now it's perfect.
Okay, so yes.
No,
no, not yet.
Yeah, I can see it. There are no notes now. It's full screen.
Okay, good, great. So yes, I'm Irene, and as I already said, I was the lead extended reality developer for Portal XR. It is built by a consortium from ByteLepa, the company I work for, University of Peloponnese, the university where I do my PhD research, and the Thessaloniki port, which is the port authority of Thessaloniki. For University of Peloponnese, it was the ESDA lab, the partner that had the research and the technical part. And the actual initiative of the project was the fact that every year there are many port workers that are getting injured. This happens all around the world, and sometimes it's even worse than just getting injured. So this usually happens because they are not trained in real situations. They are trained in class, but the reality is very different from it. And this is where we thought that virtual reality is actually the best tool to help and to train them correctly to avoid injuries. Of course, there are cases that you cannot replicate in real life before happening, such as chemical spills or driving or operating very expensive to use machines. And this is how we actually used Unity, and we utilized the Interact plugin for the most physical heavy parts in order to create the Portal XR solution, which is a platform that hosts digital twins. It is a virtual reality training platform, and it contains different scenarios and simulations with real data. This is where the digital twins come in the scenarios. And this is how we managed to actually train 150 participants, workers, employees of the Thessaloniki Authority Port Authority, which is actually a bigger number. I will go on and tell you about the numbers in a few. I wanted to show you some of the pictures. These are real pictures. These are from the training that happened in the pilots in Thessaloniki Port. And as you see, I'm very glad to see that we also had many women employees that were trained. To be honest, women were not very, let's say, used to drive STS cranes or to do more technical out in the field work in the port, but after the VR training, we actually have way more women that are willing to operate STS cranes, which is for me a big achievement of the extended reality project we developed. So just to have a quick look, we did recreate quite a few scenarios. I kept the most interesting, let's say, for you today. I will have just a quick look to the STS crane. The instructions are in Greek because the employees asked for it actually, but we also have an English version. And so this is an actual digital twin of the Thessaloniki port STS crane. And here is the trainee that tries to utilize it to do all the process that they later did on the real STS crane. And we also did that for the hazardous material handling, which is actually very important in cases of incidents where they have to follow a very specific protocol. They have to follow very specific standards. And we try to keep the digital twin as realistic as possible, as well as the results of their actions and their simulations. So they have to take decisions, and depending on their performance, we give them feedback, and then we try to train them in as realistic situations as possible. And of course, there was the vehicle fire. This is, again, one situation that you cannot just replicate. So this is where virtual reality actually was very, very helpful because during their trainings, they were trying to have small fires, but of course, this is very dangerous. So having it in virtual reality and being able to monitor and track the employees actually was very beneficial for them. Trying to select the correct extinguisher and so. So just to have a quick look, actually our results were very good, and from what we've seen already, they consider it as excellent based on the system usability scale questionnaire they were given. And of course, many of them have never seen extended reality in the past. And so we did have to spend some time to train them on the technology as well. We trained all age groups and all digital literacy levels. And this is just to prove that technology is ready and the workforce is ready as well. And it was actually very, very helpful and beneficial for the port employees that actually used it. So that was from me. Thank you very much. Of course, I'd love to talk more about it after the rest of the presentations.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm just curious, did you get feedback from people, especially with the hazardous situations? Did you get feedback from anybody who attended those sessions that they also used it in real life?
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
And actually, just give me a small time for this. They found it very helpful, even those that were a bit confused with using virtual reality. At the end of the day, they actually found very, very much value on it. And they also replicated later on in the real training as well.
Oh, wow, that's great to hear. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Katarzyna, can you share with us everything we need to know about SensiVR?
Yes, sure. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I will share my screen. Could you see the presentation?
It's loading. Yes, I see it. Full screen.
Yes, okay. So let me start with a simply reality. An 8-year-old boy struggled to hold pencil, cut with scissors, or try his shoelaces. Small task, everyday task that significantly affect his confidence, independence, and even participation in school activities. Traditional hand therapy helps, but sessions usually take place only once a week, and he is expected to repeat the exercise at home that feel uninteresting and frustrating, leading him to loss of his motivation and self-esteem. At the same time, 1 in 6 children worldwide require the developmental support, which can cause real mental health problem in them young and adultness. Often, it is first visible through impairment with manual dexterity. So this is why SensiVR transform hand therapy into a playful XR experience. Using controller-free hand tracking, children interact naturally with immersive environment, while VR system measure movement precision, smoothness, and coordination in real time. So children can train daily at home, parents can support therapy continuity, and therapists remotely monitor progress, reducing waiting time, travel needs, and treatment cost. So we recently validated SensiVR in a real therapeutic environment through usability testing with children and therapists, completing an evaluation report that is now available upon request by emailing us at info@sensivr.com. So you can pre-order our ebook as an XR professional, as an investor, researcher, clinician, or even parent. And for me, support from Women in Tech Award provided not only the founding, but also validation, visibility, and access to European Innovation Network, helping us move from the strong concept toward a data-driven pilot program for early adopters. In healthcare and deep tech, it's not a rat race, it's a marathon, and nobody starts with all of the answers. Build your network early, find mentors you trust, and don't be afraid of rejection. It's a part of the process. Most importantly, trust that your perspective is valuable. Diversity in innovation leads to better solutions, and your voice is the power of the shape of the future. So one more time, if you are interested about the results of our usability testing, I really encourage you to send us an email, info@sensivr.com, and by the end of the March, we will send you the offer with the ebook. Thank you so much for my presentation.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry, I was muted. Thank you so much for sharing that. And that was a wonderful quote, actually.
I hope everybody understand as much as they could about the project, and was quite easy and clear to understand. Thank you.
Thanks. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And anybody who's interested, you have your website up there, so we can dive in deeper if we want to, for sure. Thank you so much. All right, Laura or Hannah, can you maybe share something, or together, I don't know who's gonna take the stage, but can you share something about neonatal to us?
Yes, I will lead on this question. Thank you. Well, yes, so as you can imagine, to be born is actually one of the most dangerous events in life. And globally, we know that the risk of dying is actually the highest the first day of life. And several things can go wrong during this time and quickly. And we know that about 15% of all babies that are born, they actually need help to start breathing. And around 5%, they need more than just some basic support, but they actually need to be resuscitated. So either ventilated, or also some of them need some cardiac massage. So real life support. And so learning more about the effectiveness of virtual reality based training in neonatal resuscitation is quite interesting, both for families and babies, but also for healthcare workers in neonatology, and also for educators and instructors, as it can improve the current training programs in neonatal resuscitation. And so my research is about evaluating whether virtual reality based training is an efficient supplement to the existing doll-based, so the mannequin-based training that we are using at the moment everywhere in the world for improving the clinical skills in neonatal resuscitation. So this is what Cora, which is our tech partner, together with us. We are some clinicians in this team together. We have tried to evaluate this, how we can use virtual reality to improve the training. We know that the current doll-based simulation training is effective when it comes to improving the resuscitation skills in the staff. But we also know that it requires physical presence, trained instructors, and also like structured environments, which actually limits its practical use in the busy healthcare setting. It also takes time, so it's really not flexible. Most of the time it's scheduled like on specific days. You have to set up a big team, and it's quite resource intensive. So it's not very flexible, and it's quite rare that we get these kind of trainings. So most of the time you get trained, for example, as a doctor, I got trained in med school. We had some simulation training in med school. Then you start working, and maybe some departments have it quite often, maybe once a month maximum, but some places you can also work where you maybe do it once a year or even less. So it's not like systematic training that you get. So what we are doing in our project, what we have been doing the whole fall, we have evaluated, we created actually in virtual reality some scenario for how to resuscitate a baby. So basically in this this scenario, you come in, there is a mother, a pregnant woman giving birth, and then you get this baby that is not breathing, and then you have to resuscitate this baby according to the algorithm that we use all over Europe. So it's a standard algorithm that all European countries are following, and you have to resuscitate this baby the right way. So if you do some mistakes, it will let you know, it will correct you, and then you will learn, and then you will be able to continue in the scenario and move forward as you do the things correctly. And in the end of the scenario, the goal is that they have resuscitated this baby. So this is what we have created, and we have tested this. So we can say, oh, this is great, let's just implement it in the hospitals. But in healthcare, we know that it's not as easy as to implement these technical things, and you need evidence. So you always need evidence. That's the common language that we speak in the medical world. So we needed to create some evidence that this is actually effective and useful. So therefore, we have conducted a randomized control trial here. We did it during the fall and ended it here in January, where we included nurses and doctors that work in the neonatal departments at 4 different hospitals in Denmark. And we did some assessment, both their clinical skills and also their theoretical knowledge. So we did the clinical skills. They were simulating, so we had a scenario with a doll, and then they had to resuscitate its baby, and we filmed it on video, and then we had 2 blinded assessors that needed to score these videos without knowing without knowing anything about them. They just scored them all. Then after this assessment that we did first, we randomized these nurses and doctors. So half of them ended up coming in the virtual reality group, and half of them ended up coming in the non-virtual reality group, so just the standard training group. And both groups were supposed to participate in the standard training if there was any mannequin-based training with the doll. But the virtual reality group, additionally, they needed to train with virtual reality. So do the scenario training. We recommended them to do it like once a week during a period of 6 to 8 weeks. And in average, because it was also hard if it's short time, it was a bit difficult in some departments because it's been a very stressful winter, a lot of high patient load, but approximately between 4 and 5 times they all trained this scenario in the virtual reality group. And then we did this assessment after 6 to 8 weeks. So we tested all of them again, the virtual reality group and also the control group, as we call them, that has not received the training in the virtual reality. And we scored them again. Both the clinical skills with the doll that they had to simulate and resuscitate this doll, and also the theoretical knowledge. It was like a multiple choice questionnaire. And now we have started to look at the results a bit, and we can see that even with this just like around 4 times of training, like 10 minutes each time that they train, we can already see that there is a difference in their skills, and especially when it comes to how fast they do things and how confident they are when they do it. So they're more familiar with the algorithm, what to do when to start ventilating the baby, for example, if it's not breathing, when to start the cardiac massage. So we can already see a difference in these 2 groups, even with this short follow-up time. And the results are also statistical significant. So this is always what we're looking for in the medical research world, like, yes, but is it really like this, or was it just a coincidence that we found this result? But it seemed to be significant, our result. So this means that now we have the possibility to go to different stakeholders and say, hey, we have this training program, how to resuscitate babies, and it's actually working, and we have the highest level of evidence. So that's a randomized controlled trial. It's like it will give you the highest level of evidence in the academic world. And so we have something to support what we believe in. So now we are moving forward to try to see, find partners, try to market a bit the product. And also I conducted this study in Denmark because we wanted to try it on the European guidelines, but right now I am in Bangladesh. I work with Doctors Without Borders also, and we will, in a couple of months, we will start to do a pilot also here to try to test another different scenario with their guidelines for healthcare workers in a humanitarian setting. So that would be very interesting to see if it can help them, because they really don't have a lot of training here. So yeah,
Oh,
that's
wow.
a little bit about the project. Yeah.
Congratulations on the good results. That's amazing. And I love that you're expanding
Thank
also
you.
to the places that need it. And I'm not a medical person myself, but I know it's such a delicate time when the baby is just born. And I can imagine as a professional, it also gives you a lot of more self-confidence if you've practiced more. I mean, it's not what I do every day, but I can just imagine that happening. So that's great. Thank you so much for sharing.
Definitely. Thank you.
Raquel, can you maybe show your projects?
Yes. It is always difficult to come after neonatal because I have to admit that it's a wonderful project. Unfortunately, our project doesn't save lives, but it has a focus mainly on the environmental problems that we are facing nowadays. From the European Union, let's say that they started enforcing very important regulations starting from this year. There is the digital product passport. If some of you is familiar with this kind of regulations coming from Sensenelec, ISO regulations, standards of the 45,000 series, you already know that the European Union is telling us you must be more sustainable, not only from an environmental point of view, but also from an economic point of view, because we still must produce money, let's say. We still must be companies. And our project, the idea of our project is to foster, to enhance the sustainability of the products, of mechatronic products, by extending their end of life, their life cycle, so postponing their end of life. Thanks to this project, we are training a new generation of operators called 5.0 operators, coming from the Industry 5.0 standards. So they are what we call self-resilient operators. So they are not only able to learn the practices, how to recycle, how to collect materials that can valuable materials or dangerous materials, not only for people, but dangerous only also from an environmental point of view. And they are also able to do it in autonomy after the training. So, for instance, you all have household appliances at your home. Our houses are becoming more and more digital, and this means also a problem with obsolescence and the fact that we are changing our appliances faster and faster and faster. But this is absolutely not sustainable from an environmental point of view. So the idea is we should change only what's needed. So when servicer comes to your place to see what's wrong with your washing machine, dishwasher, think whatever you want, thanks to the training that we are able to provide, the servicer is able to repair your washing machine. Let's take this example, or replace it if it is absolutely dead, or if it is not, if it does not what you expect, if it does not eat anymore. And then this washing machine, instead of being disposed and becoming a waste, it can be dismantled, it can be disassembled, and, for instance, become the source of spare parts for other products. So this is done through a virtual reality application that is implemented through a MetaQuest Oculus, the third version, which is pretty easy to be used and to be also transported, to be carried also in companies. You don't need enormous spaces to do this kind of training. So the operators do this training. They receive a score at the end of the training each time. They select the parts, the key components where they want, on which they want to do the training. At the end, if they reach a level of 3 stars, because it is a 5-star scale, if they reach this level, they are considered enough skilled to perform the real disassembly exercise, so they can do it inside the company if it is a recycler, a dismantler, or even a manufacturer, or they can do it at your houses, home, if it is the case of servicers. So in terms of results, of course, we validated our application. And we did it with real operators coming from manufacturers that are our partners, which are Electrolux and Nova Simonelli. They make coffee machines, professional coffee machines, very popular in Italy. And also dismantlers like Stena Metal, the biggest European dismantler, along with their partner located in Italy, which is Threadcarpi. So we obtained wonderful results because despite similar training times, if compared with standard training with paper, we obtained a much higher accuracy in terms of dismantling, which with lower errors, which is very important because sometimes you are managing, for instance, lithium batteries, and if you don't manage them carefully, they can explode and they can cause very important fires. For instance, in Italy, one dismantler was closed for 6 months due to an improper handling of one lithium battery that caused the entire facility to go on fire. In addition to our application, we have developed a beacon application, which is a support. So considering the complexity of our products, when you have to perform a real disassembly exercise, you might forgot something, you might want to check not to damage things and so on. So you have this application that can be opened through any mobile device, phones, tablets, whatever is available at the site, and you can recall every process. You can see also your training sessions, so you can check if it is needed, if some additional training is needed, if you have to undergo to a refreshing the training and so on. And this is also useful, of course, for not only for trainees but also for trainers to ensure that their operators are trained enough to perform these assembly exercises. The large scale pilot validation was performed with 80 people coming both from industry and university, because our idea is also to use this application to enhance the development of design for disassembly procedures and standards. So we must train also engineers, because they are the ones developing products, looking at the different standards, in this case design for disassembly. So the idea is to develop products that can be dismantled, recycled, refurbished easier than today.
Thank you so much. Well, you started by saying that your project doesn't save lives, but it just saves the environment.
Indirectly, let's say indirectly at least.
In a couple of, we'll be thankful. Thank you so much for sharing. That was very clear. Thank you. The last project we have is EcoDrive. Jana, can you please take us through?
I will also share my screen so we will see and have the idea of what we did. Can you
Yes.
see? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. So in our case, in Matsuko, we actually use AI and XR together. And how we use AI, basically to create the holograms. So you need just your smartphone to record yourself on camera, and we can create a hologram thanks to AI. So basically what we are doing, we are integrating real 3D humans with extended reality. And first, the primary goal was to use it in holographic communication, but thanks to XR2Learn, we were able to explore new use cases such as this one, where we actually not only used our technology, but also did a custom XR application. We were focusing on automotive industry, electric vehicle battery productions, car assembly, and safety procedures, and combining it with teacher as a hologram in application. So why we did it was actually a fact that this year Volvo factory will be opened in our city, and in our region we lack a skilled workforce for that. And basically also Volvo started focusing on schools in our region, and we were able to collaborate with that school on this project. It's a secondary vocational school of industrial technologies here, because they were also chosen by Volvo to build a new Volvo training center there. So basically to prepare the future workforce in our region to work there. And they were missing some XR education application there, because they already have some XR trainings that are already implemented in Volvo in other countries, but nothing like that was used here in Slovakia. So that was the problem we wanted to find a solution for, and also a new use case for us to explore and to work on. In our case, we were focusing on the students. So that is something like, when you look at the timeline, it's a first phase, how to start working in such an industry in our case, because it was first time. Because before that we were only focusing on the communication. So this was actually a first time for us to focus on XR trainings and XR education. So in our case, we piloted the application with 100 students. We really tried to engage also girls, but at that specific school, there were not that many girls, because usually in this kind of field, it's more more popular for boys to study. But the fun fact for me was, when we were doing the pilot, that actually girls were more familiar with the headsets. And actually, they had better results because after each of the module, they needed to take a test. And it was really like technical questions, and they were much better than the boys. So this was really nice to see. And what we wanted to achieve and to bring also for XR2Learn was to have evidence if this kind of XR education have a better results than the traditional one. Because in our case, we were comparing with we were collaborating with the teachers from the school. So when we were building the storyboard of the application, we were working on the curriculum and on the quizzes. They were helping us because they're focusing on this kind of topic. And we actually compared it. So we did the pilot with the students wearing the headsets and piloting the application, but also there was a separate group that had like the traditional lesson. And after that, they took a paper test with the same questions that the students answered in the application, but it was like completely different students, but they're same age. And we compared the results, and we achieved that actually the XR application, there was a result that 43% we achieved 43% higher learning results compared to the traditional teaching. So it was really good to see that basically they were only focused on the content in the headset. So they didn't like do anything else, and the results were there. But there are many other, I think, reasons why the results were that good. And in our case, thanks to this project, we are scaling up to the Volvo Training Center. So they have many booths there where the students can train, but one of the booths will be our EcoDrive XR application. And we'll see, we are really trying to collaborate with Volvo and maybe to make a better version or much more like focus on industry, not the students version for them, so they can use it also for new employees, not only like students, because this content was really focusing on the students, so it was not that specific for the like how really it works in the factories, but it was more about the raising the awareness of such a topic. So thank you.
Thank you very much. That was great. All these projects have amazing results. And Jana, do you think that because these were all very young kids, and I know that a lot of them, they know XR, they have headsets themselves. Do you think there's a difference if you go to extend your project to maybe a more adult audience?
Yes, for sure. Because also the teachers tested the application, and it was completely different. I don't know if maybe it's because of the generation, but they didn't like they didn't know like what to do. The first thing, and they were not like really familiar with that, and basically also like asking really different questions about the nausea and fatigue and this kind of problem. And the students, they were like, "Oh, give me the headset, I will try it." And we were like, "Okay, they are really like familiar with that, and they actually would prefer to have such lessons like on every subject at school." So like the feedback from the students was really good, but I think it's because they are the new generations, and basically they want this kind of innovation in their like day-to-day life as a student.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would love to teach in XR, to be honest, but it's not there yet. Thank you so much. Thank you all for sharing all your wonderful projects. I want to zoom a little bit, take a little bit step back and zoom out onto the industry as a whole. Because we had some great personal stories, but as we know, our industry still has some gaps and some challenges that we need to solve and that we can work on. So I would want to start with you, Laura. We know the industry is male dominated. We've already expressed it a couple of times. What do you think are the most crucial barriers at this moment for women to join the XR field, but also maybe to stay in the XR field?
Yeah, thank you, Regina. I think it comes down to the trajectory of where we all begin to socialize with technology, which is already in school. Already in school, we look at how we are approaching areas of technology, engineering, gaming. And there's a big, well-documented gender gap in education. So the barrier is not only at the hiring door. It really starts in school when girls are steered away from subjects that later on feed into XR careers. And that's the first step. And then we have all the research that consistently shows, again, that women don't leave tech because they can't do the work, but it's because the workplace culture of being talked over or having ideas that are never credited, or they're credited to your male counterparts, or you're excluded from informal networks and conversations where all the decisions actually get made, or the after work where people get drunk and then they talk about how to close the deal. It's like very small steps that exclude women from these networks and conversations and dialogues where we need to be represented. And it's a cultural problem more than a representation problem. And then we have a very simple thing, but the hardware itself that we're working with, it's actually designed, or historic at least, it's been designed around male head sizes and the distance between the pupils of your eyes, which means that women actually feel more discomfort. They more often get cyber sickness, and they get more nauseous while using the headsets, the very tool that we are working with. So that's also very counterproductive. And finally, I think the barrier that remains is the allies and role models that we have. So there are a lot of allies, and we have good example, but it's not enough just to be a passive ally and say, I'm open to women if you're identifying as a man. But allies really need to root for women and give opportunities, interrupt if the credit is stolen, or use all the social capital that they have to amplify minorities in the organization, in the culture. And then, of course, the role models matter a lot, because only if they're visible and actively engaged, we can see them and we can listen to their stories and the narratives, because there are many women in XR. I mean, this is just a proof of that. But it's important to put them on stages or put them in the press coverage and make sure that the female narratives and the female experience and the stories are told and heard.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really like your point also. I hadn't thought of the whole technology being, of course, designed by men for men, because it made me remember the first time I tried on a haptic vest, which didn't fit. It was straight. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Raquel, do you see any other additions that you would like to add? And maybe can you share something of programs that helped you personally to overcome any of the barriers that we're talking about?
Yes, Laura mentioned mainly, or at least from what I perceived, physical barriers, let's say. I was very interested in terms of distance between the pupils, because in our case, we were pretty lucky and we didn't experience a lot of motion sickness events. And we had only 2 cases, one for a woman and one for a man, so perfectly balanced. In our case, the main barriers were, let's say, cultural ones, because we are speaking about disassembly. Disassembly is mainly something that involves men, unfortunately. Many of you for sure know, or also if you are men, you are passionate about dismantling, disassembly things, a typical activity between son and father during weekends, years, dismantling engines, pieces of motorbikes, bikes, and things like this. And this is something that usually girls are less familiar with, and we had this experience. We saw at the beginning that many women, many of the girls involved, weren't familiar with the screwdrivers, with the wrenches. They didn't even know the names, despite they were engineering students, because we are speaking about first year bachelor engineering engineering students, so they are more familiar with more theoretical things than practical things. And even myself, my experiences before going living alone, let's say, in terms of disassembly and using tools, were very limited. Thanks to our application, we saw that these barriers were perfectly overcome because first girls were more attracted by the fact that they didn't have to use directly physical tools. At the beginning, they were, I would say, scared by the fact that they have to perform these assembly exercises in front of other people, especially men. They were fearing the judgment. But after having trained with our application, there was no fear anymore, no embarrassment anymore, and they obtained results comparable to the one of their colleagues. So this demonstrates that it was mainly a cultural barrier coming from the fact that usually when you are little you don't play with this kind, or at least my generation didn't play with this kind of tools, but women are perfectly capable of being trained, of performing the actions and so on. The only limits can come from physical limits in terms of weighting, of lifting very high weights, but here we are speaking about constraints of in terms of regulations. We have the RULA assessment scale, so this is another story. They are still protected. And we saw that there is a lot of room for improvement, especially from a mechatronic point of view. And another barrier, unfortunately for us, that we experienced was in term, as a AX Demand project, recruiting women. For the largest scale pilot validation, because of course we know that especially in Italy there is a huge gender gap in terms of people enrolled in STEM subjects, and mechanical engineering, I think, is one of the faculties that suffers most from this issue. And even as a research group, we don't have many women involved. We were only two in our group working on this project, and we also saw that many women didn't want to participate, fearing this barrier. But thanks to the experience of other girls that decided to share, saying, "Oh, you should come. Actually, it is interesting. Why not?" We were able to engage additional women, and we reached a fair balance, I would say. It was 30% of women in terms of course, biological sex, and the other men. But we are going to decrease this gap because we really believe that virtual solutions can be a valuable tool in this sense.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's great to hear that community. I know role models help, but the sense of community where you're bringing your friends into a new space is also very powerful. Thank you so much for adding that. We're a bit short on time already, and I was afraid this would happen, so I want to skip one of the questions. But there's one question in this section I really want to discuss still, Katarzyna, with you. It's about the fact that AI is entering the space. I think that's a very important question to talk about, because it's getting embedded in all kinds of XR workflows, from content creation to design tools. And I was wondering if you can maybe share your perspective on, does this open up opportunities, or is there a chance for more gender equality, or do you think there's also a downside to all of it?
Oh, yeah, that's a very good and interesting question. And from my point of view, it's, I can say both, yeah, of course, but it's a huge opportunity because AI, like you said, lowers technical barriers. So today, people can prototype XR environment, interaction or content without being expert or programmers. This was huge problem, for example, for me, as I try to interact in this environment a while ago. At that open fields more interdisciplinary, more diverse environment when people like designers, clinicians, educators can be involved in this industry, which is amazing. And already a stronger gender diversity, of course, and us as a woman, because as we know, we are more like we have different kind of skills which we would like to bring to this bring to this environment of XR. And it's we don't only treat it XR like technical environment. So I see AI in XR as a both opportunity but also as a risk for gender equity, depending of how for me, it's depending of how we're gonna build it right now, because it's the question. The key question is not whether AI enters XR, because in my opinion, like you already, most of you already also told, it's already enter it right now, but it's more about who gonna participating in this shape, and who gonna be involved in this shaping from AI to XR. And if only people from technical or business environments still will be involved in that environment, in my opinion, this is a big risk, because we still live the same patterns as was used before. Like we're gonna use the same patterns of engineers and programmers thinking for today, creating content without using coding. So for me, it's very important that right now we should to put attention of involved people from totally different industries right now, right here, because it's the time who will be creating this opportunity for AI to shape to be enter XR, that we will see as soon as we can this diverse interdisciplinary environment, and people can create things which are different than the things which was done for this time. So for me, outcomes depends of inclusion. Today we have to take.
Yeah, thank you so much, Laura. I already saw you nodding a little bit. Do you have any additional insights into this?
Yeah, plenty. I think AI won't be neutral by accident. It will reflect whoever shapes it, and this is why we can't just say that gender equity is an argument. It's like a product quality argument, because if you have diverse team, we will build better AI, and better AI will build better XR ultimately. And I think it comes down to sponsorship, because we talk a lot about mentorship and having a mentor that brings you in, but I would like to actually go back to where the money comes from and focus much more on getting sponsorship, because we cannot only support female-led projects, but it's also having someone that pays for your upskilling, someone that pays for you to go to a conference where you're going to be on stage, someone that pays for that network membership where every decision is being made. So I think a little bit, I mean, it's almost like ugly to speak about money, but money is such an important matter in this regard. And when we talk about, oh, you got to get involved and we got to get creative teams and artists and females and minorities involved in AI, yeah, but that takes a lot of effort and a lot of money. So I think focusing away a little bit from mentorship and looking at sponsorship is something I'm strongly advocating, at least. And if you're a man in this room listening right now, I think you should think about, when was the last time you sponsored a woman for an opportunity rather than just encouraged her? That's going to make the whole difference.
Yeah, I totally agree. Fund more women, definitely. Thank you so much. I was afraid this would we had so much more questions prepared, but looking at the time, and I want to take some time to go to Q&A as well. I want to do one last question to you, Irene, actually. It's skipping a lot of questions, so bear with me. It's one where we look at where do we see the role of women in XR evolving in the next 5 to 10 years. Is that something you can maybe share something about?
Yes. First, I, of course, see way more women in XR, and this is the first step. And then I see a future where women, they don't just create XR, they actually shape the standards of the extended reality environment, especially when it comes to ethics, when it comes to accessibility, when it comes to inclusion, when it comes to human-centered design and learning design. I think that women have actually so much more than what we see now to offer. So I really see it. I see it as more embedded in the workforce, way more in let's say in organizational level, rather than initiatives and small programs or small events. I would like to see women leading that shift towards measurable and human-centered immersive systems, and not just content, not just women creating XR content.
Oh, it's great. I like your idea of women becoming the standard. That's a really good one to go for. Anybody in the panel wants to add on this, because we skipped a lot of questions and I want to give you all a bit of a stage here. If not, that's also okay. Well, we have exactly 10 minutes left. Fook, are there any questions that you think would be interesting from them?
We don't hear any open questions so far, so you can ask the panelists one or two more questions if you want.
Then we backtrack on our anybody who's watching right now, please, if you have a question, also if it's from something we already talked about a while ago about the projects or about a personal journey that our panel has been through, don't hesitate to drop it into the chat, and we will make sure we get to it. All right, let's see where we can. Well, I'm hoping we also have a lot of people watching who are maybe thinking about getting into XR, and I just wanted to see if maybe we can share some interesting tips. Raquel, can you give us some tips on if I want to join XR, if I want to get into the industry, what do you think should be my first step?
So honestly, I don't see many barriers in joining the XR industry. First of all, I would say training, because it might seem very, very easy, something, let's say, a children game, but actually it is not. In our case, if I could, like, if I had a magic wand and I could create the people that we need in our team, I would say designer, because we have a lot of courses in terms of design at the University of Parma in general in Italy, but designers are sick in very, very different industries. So I would encourage to be engaged in this kind of after high school educational paths. University is one path, but in Italy there are also other ways to join this type of industry. There are what we call ITS schools and so on, and in general they are free. They are funded by the region, so don't be afraid that you need, because it is true that you need some kind of education, but don't be afraid by the fact that it is too costly, too long, and so on. Just find your way, find the path that you would benefit, you think that would be the best for you, and then start learning. Then there are a lot of opportunities, I would say, on LinkedIn. Personally, it helped me a lot to connect with other users, with other UX designers, to see their ideas, to get information, to get inspirations by them. So also LinkedIn, and don't be afraid to contact directly the people. If you feel some kind of interest and you would like to understand if this is the path for you, just ask to people that are involved, that have active projects. Even with me, if you would like to have additional details regarding the project, my educational background and things like this, how I came up with the X-Demand project, just ask and don't be afraid, especially for women, because we are not a lot, but believe me, we have special touches in this kind of projects.
That's so true. So everybody connect with everybody here on the panel. That would be great. I invite you find us on LinkedIn and get linked up. Thank you so much. If there are questions, we'll just shout. Otherwise, I'll just keep going. It's fine. There's one question I really want to ask Katarzyna. We've talked a little bit about about allies and male allies already, and I'm just very curious to hear what you think. Because we can't do this alone. We need our allies. But what do you think could be done more, or what could they do different than what is happening now and what you see happening?
Oh my God! Sorry, could you repeat what? Could you repeat your question?
About male, yeah, we're scrambling up the questions a little bit. I'm so sorry, but I was just being mindful of time.
No.
We talked a little bit about allies in the field and the way we need them, male allies. And do you have any? Do you see any opportunity where you think that's an area that hasn't been explored yet? This is something that the male allies that we all need could be doing differently.
Okay, sorry. I was like, LMs, what you are talking about, but now I understood. Sorry for that. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, when we back to this question, I will talk about a bit different perspective. So, because for me, like I said, I didn't come from technical background. I come from artistic background, and I was feeling that it's like big gap for myself from myself that I don't have the skills, and I really wanted to compensate it during the time, but over the time I realized and market proved that this quite technical environment is not enough, and some kind of creating technology only for gaming environment, it's also enough. And even if we have this gaming industry, it's the XR technology is not going mainstream anyway, simply because even gamers didn't want to go inside this environment just because the quality of hardware or headset wasn't enough. So the market of XR showed that we need to invite another industry like healthcare, education, culture, or social application, and every other industry the other speakers mentioned today. And for me, it's not a gap about, I can say, from male perspective, they don't have to do anything. They just have to give us like people from diverse environment. I'm not saying only the women, but every people from another interdisciplinary environment, like opportunity for different style of leading, for different style of management of this environment, because usually this technical hierarchy rigor environment is very strict, and I can say even like one style of management culture. And when I tried, for example, to join this environment, firstly, I wasn't technical person, so I was rejected, and secondly, this was very not good and fine to join that kind of bossy environment when only one style of leadership was practiced. So for me, it's easy to give this opportunity for building like more diverse ecosystem where environments one can show different way of thinking, leading, and collaboration with respect. Such spaces for me benefits not only the woman but everybody, like also the men who not identify with this rigid hierarchical or competitive management culture. So inclusive XR is not about one group replacing with another, but it's about creating condition when everybody, like more people, can contribute fully. So now we can create like a mainstream XR as like mainstream technology finally.
Yeah, that's so nice. I mean, having basically a more open-minded approach to the whole industry. And to be honest, I don't think that's only applicable to the XR industry, in my humble opinion. That could benefit a lot more. Thank you so much for sharing. I think we're almost there. It's 1 minute on my screen. Fook, how are we doing on questions?
Yes, well, we don't have any questions, but I think we asked a sufficient number of questions today.
All right. Sorry? Oh, sorry, I thought I heard. Well, then I think it's about time then that we wrap up this panel. Thank you so much for joining and sharing your stories to all our panelists. Thank you so much for supporting us, Fook, behind the screens. I know you arranged a lot in making this happen. Thank you so much, F Success, and all of the partners involved as well. And I would just like to wish everybody from my side a wonderful International Women's Day weekend. Keep safe, keep each other safe, and let's build better XR together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Regina.
Yes.
And thank you
Regina,
all.
thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you so much. Same to you.
Have a good day. Goodbye.